I have been athletically devoted my entire life since probably 4 or 5 years old, kicking the football and then playing every sport under the sun as a young man, and then growing up and being intensely into gym work and trying to get jacked and get shredded, and also being a long distance runner and recently training for a 100-kilometer ultra marathon. Exercise has always been a really big part of my life. In a way, it was kind of like my safety net. Now, I'm going to say up front, I've been addicted to exercise, and I've been conditionally attached to having a body, a sexy, strong, jacked body that I perceive will make me more lovable in society. And I've definitely experienced some body dysmorphia as well, where I would look at myself in the mirror and see a really frail, skinny, weak-looking dude, and I was actually massive at one point. And so my relationship with movement and fitness has often been fueled from an unhealthy place. And to have some compassion for myself, it was really an outlet for me growing up in a difficult circumstance. It's not like I had bad intentions and no reason to be like that. I was very, very shy, anxious, insecure, and dysregulated. And running, exercise, sport was a way for me to control how I felt. Now, for the last 5 years, I've been aware of the fact that I want to work on my posture. Maybe more, maybe the last 7. I'm going to say 7 to 10 years. I've been aware of the fact that I had developed a posture that was very symptomatic of a modern workaholic lifestyle. Head poking forward, shoulders rounded, quite often having a sore lower back and getting headaches a lot because of the positioning of my neck. And I just didn't prioritize it because I didn't feel that I had the time, and it just felt way too hard. I remember doing some postural work with one of my best friends from high school, an amazing osteo called Jordan Moncrief, and he was helping me with a modality called dynamic neuromuscular stabilization, or DNS. And just feeling the distance between where I was and then having an actual healthy posture, I found so difficult to accept. And it felt like an impossible journey. Every time I sat down, my butt would always be planted on the front of the seat, and then my whole back would be just laying like with the top of my back on the top of the chair. And so I'm like just leaning back and then my head poking forward. And that was just the most comfortable way for me to sit. To actually sit upright, my body had literally disformed to being non-aligned. So much so that to actually sit upright in a healthy, aligned posture was debilitating, exhausting. I could do it for a minute before I was like, ugh, now I'm going to poke my head back forward and round my shoulders again and curve my back. And so I've always had a really clear knowing that it's something that is going to be important. And if I continue to operate through life with that posture being that unhealthy and that misaligned, that I'm going to grow old and have a pretty out of shape body that deteriorates a lot faster. And about, I'm going to say 4 years ago or 5 years ago, what I recognized from an emotional perspective is that my body represented the consciousness state of how I felt as a teenager growing up. Feeling really shy and anxious, I was dipping my head, curving my shoulders over, and slouching and hiding. It was like my heart was being protected and shielded by that really rounded upper back, curving my shoulders over, rounding my shoulders over, and hiding my heart away. And my posture kind of formed around that. That real rounded upper back and the head poking forward, that upper back phenomenon is called a kyphosis, an overcurving of the upper back. And then the forward placed head was just something that I recognized, wow, my body right now is showing a super insecure, a super shy, guarded, heart-closed man. And that was how I was as a broken-hearted teenager that was grieving the loss of my mother that abandoned me and our family to try to save herself. And I didn't see her for 3 to 4 years during my pivotal teenage identity forming years. And I missed her a lot because I was very close to her. And so I was heartbroken, and my posture reflected that. I lost a sense of self-worth and confidence, and my physiology represented that. And there was a few years ago, so without skipping ahead, going back for a second, 4 years ago, when I recognized, okay, I can notice now I've been doing this work on my confidence, and I've been doing this work on loving myself unconditionally, and this healing journey and the spiritual journey, forming a really solid sense of self. And I'm feeling it more and more internally, but my physical body is not representative of the internal changes I've made yet. And the way that this works is we can, the manifest world is the slowest to catch up. And so we can shift internally quicker than we can externally. And then we will naturally over time, automatically shift our external body to represent our inner world. And so I felt that call. Okay, I want to have a body that represents being open-hearted. Right now I'm slouched and guarded and hiding myself away, and I want to open my heart up. And so I started going to yoga to do that. That was my initial where I was drawn towards. If I can stretch and do these big asana sequences, and I can open up my body and gain flexibility to the stiff, rigid, misaligned body that I was holding. And I was wanting to really let my body be a demonstration of self-love. And so for many years before that, the reason my body was so stiff, tight, misaligned, guarded was because in my teenage years, I worked out like a crazy person. After my mom left, when I was 13, after a few years of feeling really kind of beat down and essentially victimized by my dad, who was a bit of an abuser, I started to hit the gym in my mid-teens, let's say 15 years old, and started working out to get big so I could take out my anger that I had channeled towards my dad and the world for what was happening with my home life and my family situation, and just wanted to get jacked so I could stand up for myself and protect myself. And I just built a really strong chest, really strong upper body, and just, it was essentially a shield away from my heart. Damn you, Dad, for betraying my trust and hurting my heart. And I'm heartbroken from my mum leaving. So I'm just going to layer these shields of muscle over my heart area. And I did that for years and years and years, and got super strong and jacked in a bit of a deformed body that was representative of a shielded heart. And so that was my exercise from teenager all the way through to mid-20s, and then even after my mid-20s,